What is hands down the single best thing that you can have in your hands while attempting to interpret a dream? Answer on the inside. Welcome to the Dream Interpretation Podcasts with Michael and Sandy. But again, today, you only have me. Happy New Year to you. I hope 2026 brings you everything that Santa forgot. Before I interpret a dream, let's get straight into answering the question I posed at the start. Did you know that most dream dictionary writers live close to sewage treatment plants? Why is that, Michael? Because they have to. Where else can they get enough raw material to fill their pages? Now that I've set the stage and you know how I feel about dream dictionaries, do you know what is by far, without a doubt, the best single resource that you can have in your hands when trying to interpret a dream? Well, the answer is an accurate dream dictionary. The key word is accurate. Unfortunately, there are plenty of garbage dictionaries out there. Throw them all away. They're not even useful as toilet paper. There's already too much excrement on each page. Yes, I said it. I'll say more about the garbage dictionaries and why they exist later, but for now, I want to focus on the usefulness of dictionaries. Would you say that the Oxford English Dictionary is an accurate dictionary? Well, I thought so. And since I'm espousing the use of accurate dictionaries, I'll use that. Dictionary, a noun, a book or electronic resource that lists the words of a language, typically in alphabetical order, and gives their meaning. A reference work on a particular subject, the items of which are typically arranged in alphabetical order. Yay, that's what we want. An accurate reference work on the particular subject of dreams, in alphabetical order, so you can look up the symbol that appears in your dream and understand its meaning. Now, where can you get that? If only one existed as a book or an electronic resource, or even better, what if I could search it on the web? Ta-da! My accurate dream dictionary is available to search online in 2 different places. I'll put the links underneath. One of them is in a very searchable format. I hear you ask, is it available as a book? And for the next week, or until January 9th, it is yours for just 99 cents on Kindle. I timed the discount to match the release of this show. Again, the link is under this episode. While reading a book, Kindle has an option to look up a word to get its meaning. Normally it pulls that from the Oxford English Dictionary. I override that in my book. Did you know that I was a programmer too? So if you look up a word while my book is open on your device, you're looking up the meaning of that symbol in the built-in Dream Dictionary. I recently shared how I walked Ireland and London to get this book into bookstores. This is that same book. What I didn't share last time was that I dressed to impress while walking London. I wore a suit and I bought brand new shiny leather shoes. I was going to look the part. But I didn't think that through though. The new shoes looked great, but I got massive blisters on each foot. I was in such pain. I limped between the subway and each bookstore. Outside each bookstore, I'd gather myself and tell my mind to ignore the pain. I'd walk into each bookstore smiling, mentally telling myself that I didn't have a bother in the world. I'm still amazed that that worked and that I could have a conversation without showing agony on my face. But once I'd get outside and relax, the searing pain returned and I'd hobble back to the subway for the next bookstore. My dictionary is also available for free as an electronic resource for your iPhone and Android. Again, links under this episode. This is my favorite option for the dictionary because it is not static. I've updated the dictionary 23 times since the app's launch. So the dictionary you reference with the app grows automatically in your pocket. Okay, so I told you how to get it. But why is it hands down the most valuable resource you could have in your hands? Well, here's why. 1, the only way to interpret a dream is to examine the symbols. There is no other way. The dream language uses symbols and symbols have specific meanings. An accurate dream dictionary lists those meanings. Even if you use advanced techniques like waking dream re-entry, which we also teach in our classes, you still examine the symbols. And again, if you channel on a dream, which we also teach in our courses, you still channel on the symbols. Only a fool would ignore an accurate symbol dictionary. It's the easiest and fastest way to the dream's meaning. An accurate dream dictionary moves your dream interpretation skill from, I have no idea what it means, Michael, which is where most people start, to, oh my God, that's what it means. It is madness to not stand on the shoulders of analysts who already worked it out. If we all had that philosophy, we'd still be living in mud huts. You get the point. The second reason is it proves itself to you. Look up 5 symbols from a single dream in my dictionary, and you generally find that 3 of them mean the same thing. You can't argue with that. The Ashling method validates itself. If you keep a dream journal and interpret dreams over a few months, you will notice consistent themes repeat themselves. Why? Because the messages in your dreams stay true to who you are and where you are in your life. Subsequent dreams simply use different symbols to convey the same message, but you'll catch it again with my dictionary. The third reason, my dream dictionary contains 35 years of wisdom. Every entry in my dictionary is the result of analysing real dreams with real people. In many cases, an entry is not created until I've seen that same symbol mean the same thing many times for different people. There are no garbage entries. For instance, I carried the symbol lion around for nearly 7 years before I figured out what it means. Eventually, I saw it in context in another dream, and that allowed me to lock in its meaning. The entry for lion in my dictionary is as follows. Here we go. Lion. It's about gifts and spiritual leadership. The lion is the king of the jungle, and as such, in dreams, indicates that you are a spiritual leader. Spiritual leadership is where you empower others to deal with their own challenges. It works through feminine energy, so the lion is often female in the dreams to emphasize this. If the lion is threatening, and usually they're not in dreams, it means that someone in your past abused their authority over you, and that distorted your view of authority, and you're still carrying that distortion. In turn, it affects your view of leaders and causes you to resist your leadership ability. A lion behind you means you used your spiritual leadership in a former life. As such, it is very natural to you this time around. And finally, a pride of lions can indicate pride is limiting your animal nature. A little bit of a different one at the end. It's probably pretty obvious that I refined that entry over several years, but be honest though, would you have gotten that yourself? And once you know your dream is about your spiritual leadership ability, a lot more of the dream will automatically make sense because you now know the context. Now imagine the accurate dictionary contains a few thousand more entries, because mine does. When I come across another meaning for a symbol, I add that to the dictionary. Both are correct. It just depends on the context. So you can look up symbols and find there are choices, but I give you the context for each choice. Now you think that would be the end of it. Use my accurate dream dictionary and we're done. Not yet. I can hear your questions. What about all the garbage dictionaries, Michael? Well, glad you asked. There is no constitution that governs dictionaries. They most definitely are not created equal. The truth is, everybody dreams, and because of that, dream dictionaries sell well. Some are in print for decades, not because they are accurate, but because they prey on the impulse of people who have an honest desire to understand their dreams. People buy them, read the bullshit in them, get misled for a while, and then just put them on a shelf, occasionally checking them. Or worse, they buy another bullshit dictionary that contradicts the first. Contradictions are not good. If 2 people say a symbol means different things, at least one of them is wrong, and often, in this field, both are. There is a special place in hell for people who write this garbage and the publishers who pump them out. They are the reason dreams are ignored by the majority of people. The term for a person who consults one of these books is victim. Victim, a noun, a person harmed, injured, or killed as a result of a crime, accident, or other event or action, or a person who is tricked or duped. I have lost count of the number of times people have told me that when they got my dream dictionary, they threw all their others out. Good for them. Giving them to a secondhand store would just incur karma because the evil book will end up misleading someone else. If you pick up a dictionary that uses old-style language, drop it. The author didn't write it. Unless they have beamed in from the Middle Ages, it is regurgitated garbage. If the author understands dreams, they can directly write their own definition, or they could channel to confirm the meaning is correct and rewrite it in present-day language. No 2 books on dreams should diverge. I've heard people say that they prefer the meanings listed on certain websites, but that's not how language works. If a tourist asks you, ¿Dónde está la tienda?, the sentence has a specific meaning. If one Spanish interpreter says, it means, where is the post office? And another says, where is the shop? One of them is wrong. You don't just go with the interpretation you prefer. Another question, what about personal association? Well, a broken clock is correct twice a day, and garbage dream dictionaries can occasionally be right, but for the wrong reasons. You have a personal association with most things in your life. What they mean to you is not what they mean to others, and that's normal. Sometimes the personal association is very strong. A citizen called a newspaper hotline. A truck just ploughed into a house at the bottom of a hill. Thankfully, nobody was hurt. That's not newsworthy, says the editor. It happens all the time. The caller adds, but it was your house. That's how important personal association is in dreams. I wish I knew who wrote that last piece. I would give them credit. Dreams changed around September 2025, and that's a topic for another time. But most old personal associations still hold, especially if they have an emotional element. So if you buy a dictionary that makes up the meaning of a symbol and you study that symbol and believe the meaning, your dreams can switch to using that symbol to mean what the garbage book says because you believe it. So if you consistently use an inaccurate dictionary, it will become more accurate over time, but not usually enough to make you have a eureka moment with analysis. If, however, you subsequently do one of my courses or read my books, your dreams will switch back to the spirit world's meaning. I have seen that several times with students of mine who had previously worked with other systems. I hated doing their dreams in the beginning because I had to work so hard to interpret them. My angel team would warn me that their symbols don't fit the mold, so I'd have to ask my team about each symbol. After about 3 months, however, their dreams would revert to standard symbol usage. That was a relief. Michael, what about people who claim that only the dreamer knows what their dreams mean? Well, in a civilized society, these people will be put up against the wall and shot. Well, what, is that too much? All right, we'll get them in their life review. I was extremely fortunate that my first radio appearance was with Aidan Cooney on 98 FM in Dublin. Aidan persuaded me to take calls from listeners and to interpret their dreams live on air. He promised that if a listener got stroppy, he would control that. One man called in livid that I would claim to know what anyone's dream meant. Aidan challenged him to let me interpret 2 of his dreams to test me. He gave me 2 dreams and then stuttered agreement with my analysis. People who did my courses afterwards said that his stuttered reaction was what convinced them of my technique. It is ironic that his intended action of discrediting me turned into being my best advertisement. The truth is, I used to come across this all the time. It is hard to take someone seriously when they tell you that you can't do what you are clearly doing. But I understand their limited perspective. The livid caller had heard me interpret a dozen dreams before he called. That's what really bothered him. He had no idea that my interpretations were accurate until he went under the knife himself. Then he had a road to Damascus moment. He was shaken. I shouldn't have been able to do what I just did. I don't really get that anymore. By the time people get in front of me today, they're already convinced because they've seen me doing very deep analysis with many dreamers live, and they hear the dreamer's feedback, including the nuance they add that proves my interpretation. But the problem has not gone away. This view is very entrenched in the USA, thanks to high-profile dream workers such as Robert Moss and Jeremy Taylor. Both are proponents of projective dreamwork, according to which participants in a dream group should not attempt to directly interpret the dream of another participant. Rather, they should preface their thoughts about a dream with a phrase such as, "If it were my dream," and discuss the dream as if it was their own. In doing so, acknowledging the fact that the interpreter always projects their own association and life experience onto the dreamer. Crazy? Not all of Taylor's friends agree with him. His friend, Dr. Dennis Prone, wrote the following endorsement for my book. All dreams have multiple meanings. Michael's gift is to help us to interpret dreams in a meaningful way. Messages from the subconscious regarding our health or our purpose in life. This is a great book, easy to read, and one you will want to refer to again and again. Dr. Dennis Prone, transpersonal psychologist and researcher. I have friends who have taken every course that Robert Moss offers. I'm told that he never interprets a dream in any of them. I find it amazing that someone who does not interpret dreams is an expert on interpreting dreams. That makes no sense whatsoever to me. If someone says they can't interpret your dream, believe them and stop at that. But that's not what happens. Because of their authority in the field, budding analysts believe them and then confront people who actually know how to interpret dreams. It's almost like religious persecution. Real analysts are forced to hide or face attack. Yeah, I don't hide, but I have been attacked plenty. The premise of projective dreamwork is that the interpreter always projects their own associations and life experience onto the dreamer. I hate that word always. Dreamwork is therapy akin to counselling. Counsellors and psychologists use their personal selves, including experiences and values, as tools in therapy. But ethically, they maintain boundaries, ensuring their personal associations serve the client's therapeutic goals. They have supervisors and undergo personal therapy to process their own issues to remain objective while working with clients. Now, neither Taylor nor Moss are counsellors nor psychologists, but I find it hard to believe that they are or were unaware that this professional system exists and works well. And because of their own projections, people reject trained interpreters. What an irony and what a travesty. We created Ashling School to correct the record on dream interpretation, and we have trained hundreds of analysts. And just like counsellors and psychologists, our analysts have all worked on their own issues, using the same system we train them in. We also provide supervision and assist with impartial assistance with their clients and their clients' dreams. Our trained analysts don't interpret dreams blindly. They engage with the dreamer to get their input. They use dream re-entry when needed, and they channel when needed. But the starting point with any dream is always my dictionary. Well, what about the experts who say not to use dictionaries, Michael? Well, this is a problem that makes my work a struggle. And there are three answers. Most experts do not know how to channel, and so are missing the most vital tool needed for accurate dream interpretation, and indeed an essential tool for creating an accurate dictionary. Channeling will tell you about personal associations and a whole lot more. Since they lack that skill, they are stuck with having to do dream re-entry with their client, and that's okay. But they think you are stuck too. That's not okay. When they tell you that you can't get a correct analysis without dream re-entry, they are undoubtedly wrong. They just don't know it. They are still an expert. They just have more experting to learn. And that's probably true for all of us, so I'm not hard on people about that. If you can't channel, my dictionary, because it's channeled, will take a budding analyst further than they ever got, and it will take an expert past the midpoint of a full analysis. They still have to tie all the symbol meanings together and weave them into the dreamer's lived life experience. That's what gives the full analysis. Secondly, some people claim to be experts, but really they are not. There's nothing else I need to say on that. And thirdly, there are people out there that tell you to not use a dictionary because other than the one that they secretly use, they don't have a dictionary of their own to sell you. Before you say nobody would do that, I have videos of someone doing exactly that. Using my dictionary, but telling everybody else not to look up dream symbols on the web or use dictionaries. Crazy, but it's true. That's it. Don't let anyone put you off. Follow your passion for dreams. Use my free dictionary freely. Get the most out of your dreams. All the links to every format online where you can search it, the app where you can download and have it in your pocket, and the books that you can get that have the dictionary included. All those links are underneath here. All right, so now we have a dream. This is called Bus Ride, Turmeric Bath, and Flooded Building. These are really three dreams, but that's okay. This is how the dreamer sent it in. We're going to call her Mary. First part, I was on my way to work around 8 a.m. That's pretty good in a dream to see 8 a.m., early morning. I would normally take the subway, but took the bus today because I wanted to go to Equinox Benedict to take their swimming class. Equinox is my gym, and the bus had a direct stop there. Now, that's not true. That's not her gym. So it's an interesting thing. Why come up with the name Equinox Benedict? The equinox is when we have equal night and day, and it's measured when the sun appears over the horizon. And because of that, we have a celestial body at the horizon. It really is about aiming for a blessed location. That's what this focus of this dream is about, which is a pretty cool symbol, I think, to consider that it's a blessed destination that you're aiming for. Now, we should all be doing that, but for this dream to just start out the gate with that is really, really great. Because blessings come from God. So it kind of implies her gifts are blessed by God. So she has to lead with using her gifts. So we know the rest of this dream is going to be about that. What about the bus versus the subway? Well, bus is about spiritual leadership. A bus takes a group of people from where they are to where they need to be. And the subway is underground. So this is about spiritual leadership as a conscious choice versus an unconscious life where you're still gaining benefits, still gaining ground, raising vibration, but you're not aiming for it consciously. So she's not to be on autopilot. She has to aim for this blessed horizon or God-given horizon and go for there. Swimming class, she has fears of water and is actually going to swimming classes to learn how to swim. But it still kind of symbolizes overcoming spiritual fears. And because she's already doing classes in waking life, it's quite positive because it's taking a symbol that she's working on to improve herself. When I channeled on it too, I got that she's here to reactivate parts of herself. So she has a lot of awareness on the other side. She just has kind of let it fall dormant. And so by coming here and helping other people with her spiritual leadership and something else that we'll see in a moment, that's going to reactivate these pieces of her. So when somebody asks her a question, she'll already have the answer, but she won't have thought about it for some time. And so it's a life of that, to reactivate, rejuvenate pieces that are already fully functional for her. Here's another part of the dream. 2 black women came on the bus and they were transit police checking everyone's ticket. We stopped there for a while because someone didn't have a ticket. My mom was there too, and even she could understand what was going on with her limited English. Mom also emphasized something about period, and I was thinking, it's just a dot. What about it? The police gave that person a $200 plus fine and finally left. I was worried about being late because the bus was slow. Okay, so what does it mean? The transit police are represented by the 2 black women. So the black women represent fears picked up from mom, and they're checking tickets. Tickets are about karma. Like, are you following the karmic path? Are you following what you came here to do? Read it kind of like as auditors, because they're here going, okay, what are you doing? Are you doing the right thing? And they're finding somebody on the bus because they're not doing the right thing. And they find them $200. She says $200 plus. And so 2 is about channeling. So this is the gift that we have to add to it. And she is a terrific channel, but she needs to do more of it. It's always kind of interesting when somebody's already doing something and then they're told you need to do more of it. And we know she needs to do more of it because that's the fine that's exacted. And it's 200 plus, which is quite a hefty ticket on a bus. So a 2 followed by 2 zeros, really emphasizing the channeling. And 0 is about pursuing your goals. And so when we see 2 of them, it's really pushing it. Like, this is what you have to do. Include more channeling in what you're doing. In other words, go beyond your comfort zone. Really push yourself. So it's spiritual leadership and channeling combined. She has to do both of those. Spiritual leadership is where you help somebody fully. You help from your own heart. You don't necessarily have to channel to be using spiritual leadership. But when we see the 2 mixed together, it really puts a strong emphasis on the dreamer that you have to take a lot of the burden of helping somebody find their path and go the right way that they need to go. And of course, it's not just you have to take the burden. You're capable of it. That's really the part that's important. She says she was worried about being late, and she has a recurring anxiety of being behind on her path. So I channeled on that, and she's not behind. She's actually ahead. Her mom on the bus, that links this anxiety of feeling behind to dynamics with her mom. And she knows that she has stuff to do there. She's already done some of that work. So it's interesting when you've done work and you still see it coming up in a dream. It's not usually saying, hey, you need to go back in and cut the ties that bind with your mom or something like that. It's not usually heavy like that. It's typically coming up because you've already moved the needle from previous work and they now want you to be aware. And let's see if your awareness allows you to overcome the final parts of the issue. Another piece. I was showing my husband my bag and telling him how cute it was. It's a small pink handbag and I put lots of stuff in there. Buy lipstick, wallet, receipts, etc. Now she doesn't have this handbag in reality. And so pink is about the heart and following a heart theme, which we would expect because of mom and because of spiritual leadership. They all work through feminine energy and are impacted by mom, and channeling is also impacted by it too. But her heart's meant to be in it. And that's what the wallet is about. It's about the heart. Lipstick, in this case, is about speaking from the heart. And then the receipts. that was interesting how that's added in. But basically, remember, the spiritual auditors are checking for tickets. And she already has receipts in her handbag. So she's already got the foundational karma handled, let's say, because she's carrying the receipts for that. So some boxes are already ticked. And that fits to kind of counter her idea that she's behind. It's good to see it in the dream. Now the dream takes a left turn because it's really a different dream. Then my husband was giving my British short-hair cat a bath. I'm not giving names because I might give away the dreamer. He lured her to the bathroom where he put lots of turmeric powder. It was supposed to be a turmeric bath. Poor cat was covered in bright orange powder and sneezing, but she seemed to like turmeric and started rolling on the floor. I was impressed that my husband was able to pull it off. Okay, so this is about digestive system issues. We know that from the orange. Taking the bath is really good because that's about healing, letting go of whatever those issues are. But the cat is also about the digestive system. So is the floor about the digestive system. So I asked her, do you have issues there? And she said, absolutely, I do. And I'm trying to figure them out. I think, in fact, that I have an autoimmune issue, but that's really what that part of the dream is about. Nothing that she didn't already know. But it's good to see that it's being addressed. Last part of the dream, she says, earlier in the dream, I was in a high-rise building and it felt like we lived on a very high floor. I came down the stairs to run some errands, but found that the lower floors were flooded in water. So I quickly went back up and thankfully our home was safe. This one is very straightforward. It's about being intellectual because she lives on a very high floor. So she's an intellectual person, very, very smart. You would know it when you meet her. Living on that high floor just backs that up. And then coming downstairs is about coming into the heart, which of course what she has to do in order to use some of the gifts that she's got. But she found that the lower floors were flooded. So I asked her which floors, and she said floors 1 and 2. So this goes back to right at the start of life, years 1 and 2. There was trauma at that time in her life, and that's what she's trying to escape from. So she comes down, sees that's still there, goes back up into her head. So she has to overcome the trauma from these first early years, and that's going to help her enormously in her life. Now, it doesn't matter that she's high level. She's come in, she has these issues, but these issues, this early trauma helps her keep that connection to the spirit world open. But she still has to work on herself, still has to clear those things. There we go. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you enjoyed what I said earlier about using dictionaries and why they are so useful. I did it kind of tongue in cheek, but also very true, because budding dream analysts come up against a lot of people saying different things, and it's a shame that's how it is in this field. Have a great new year. Sandy and I will both see you next week. Take care.